Hey, what's up, guys? Little man with a big opinion here. Today's video, I'm going to kind of discuss why it's super important to stack to the rafters, and your end goal as a prepper should be establishing a certain level of self-sustainability. And the historical reference, one of my friends sent me a post today, and it was in 1907, the elk population in North America was 41,000. And Teddy Roosevelt, he did a lot of work for it. But a lot of our president, and you know, starting from one Roosevelt to the next Roosevelt, who spent a lot of money creating the CCC, the Civilian Conservation Corps. They did a lot of work that you can still see at national parks. And it said now the elk population in the United States has finally hit over 1 million. They said it's at 1.1 million. So it's the creation of national parks. It's the creation of hunting seasons and limits on the population. You know, we're not hunting certain animals outside of, we call it season. It's mostly because we typically aren't hunting that animal during its mating season. And so, in a grid down situation, and it's been talked about for years, and a lot of people in the, hunting, a little bit in the firearms community, they've always said, well, I'm just gonna, hunt for everything I need. I shoot my one deer every year, and it feeds my family for that long, so I just need to shoot, 5 deer a year. I'll max out my limit, and to feed my family, I'll do whatever it takes. And I don't doubt that you won't do that. I would put myself in that same situation. If I can't take care of myself and those around me, I'm going to do whatever it takes. Kind of goes to the idea of nature versus nurture. It's explaining mothers, they got super light sentences, or they got charges dropped when the only thing that they were caught stealing from grocery stores was, food for their children. That's like the most recent, study of that. But what you don't realize in doing that, times that by, let's just say, 10% of the population of Texas decides, that's what you have to do. There's a saying, if you do dove or duck hunting, if it flies, it dies. You shoot it, and you figure out what it is after it's on the ground and you can actually see it. Something smells like it's burning. But you would be extremely surprised at how quickly your wildlife populations are going to disappear. If there was a situation where there was no longer anything holding you back, specifically fines, the accusation of your property, and the possibility, I don't know very much possibility in jail time. I think you have to be a serious repeat offender on that. But the legal system in place strongly encourages you not to do this stuff out of season. if that disappears, um, either because it's no longer being heavily enforced, or it just disappears completely. You're only worried about taking care of yourself and your family. I think that population is going to diminish to the point that all those people that were eating stuff. This is Florida. Uh, it might sustain that regional population for you know a few months, if not maybe a year. Um, but we would most likely hunt those populations near to um, or to extinction, and then everyone's screwed. Um, as the resources dwindle away, people get more violent, and there's not much you can really do um, after the animal populations are gone. So that's why you need to set up this self-sustainability now. Um, and so in doing that, you don't put yourself in that situation where you're reversing time. Uh, I took a history exam today to become a teacher, and on the way to the testing site, I was just listening to a few history videos, kind of just getting a little more information, some cramming. And one of the last things I heard really helped me decide to make this video. And it's how we define a society. Or not a society. How we define a civilization. And it is a society, which is a group of people that settle down in an area. They're no longer having to hunt and gather daily. That's the first sign. Um, Another sign is, they're building permanent structures, and they're building structures that further benefit them. So some ancient Chinese civilizations, they were some of the first people to build toilets. You can look at people settling around the Nile and the Tigris and the Euphrates. I think it's Euphrates River. Um, and then you can look at, the Greeks and the Romans and everything they did. They were building permanent stuff to stick around. Um, and part of that permanent structure is agriculture. When you have a solid form of agriculture, it frees up more time, to develop. We eventually, it went from everyone was farmers inside the civilization and you stored stuff away, to a select group of people were the farmers. And it allowed more people to do other professions permanently. Um, and, you just develop uh, in that sort of way. Uh, so, if crap hits the fan and you don't have any form of self-sustainability, then even if you've got 50 years worth of food put away, from one technological aspect, you are, pre, was it like 500 CE, or even older, before civilizations settled. So a lot of preppers say, we lose electricity, the grid goes down, we're going back to the 1800s. And in a lot of ways that's true. But in the aspect of food sustainability, probably going back even further, um, because the niche level of farming has gotten so consolidated. The technology has gotten so advanced that I don't even know the exact percentages of whose occupation is as a farmer, but I really feel like it's in the single digits. Um, I I wouldn't be surprised if our farming culture is 10% or less, or our farming people. Um, and so, if you're thinking about it from that point of view, you should probably, stack to the rafters like I say in every single video, but you should also uh, be creating gardens, planting fruit and nut trees, getting chickens, rabbits. I guess I could back up a little bit and say you have, the available space to do these sort of things. But I think that is um, common sense if you want to do all of this stuff. Uh, so, this bus pulled right out in front of me. So, think about it from that point of view. Uh, Let me know in the comment section down below if you would like me to keep making these like historical reference, um, you know, prepping videos. I work at a Boy Scout camp as a living history um, director, and so I read a lot about from the 1800s. I read a lot about from the 1700s, a little bit early 1900s, but there is a plethora of information within that um, time period that I think seriously benefits um, most preppers. Um, it was a different way of life, uh, but just about everything in the 1800s we could mimic today with relative ease. And if you knew a lot of skills that they have from the 1800s, when the crap hits the fan, we'd probably be pretty well off. And with that, I'm going to try not to hit this little puppy walking down the road with a lady that doesn't have a leash. And I'll catch you in the next one.